didn't want to do like
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new members and returning members to the State Central Committee. Congratulations to all of you on your electoral victories, and we are so glad to be here this morning to conduct our reorganizational meeting for the State Central Committee. Welcome, of course, to our many guests and elected officials who are also with us this morning, and of course to our staff who helped us pull this meeting together. As we prepare to begin our meeting, I want to make sure that we commemorate the solemn occasion that we convened this meeting, this important meeting on today, which of course is the 70th anniversary of the events that happened in Normandy 70 years ago today. I know we have many military veterans and families of military veterans. I know I saw Judge Brown here this morning. I know, of course, one of our members, Carolyn Petrie, whose husband served in the Air Force for many years, and so many others. And anyone who they themselves or whose family members served in our military, please stand and be recognized. For your service, and I thought it appropriate perhaps to start this morning with a moment of silence for the many, many thousands who gave their lives in defense of freedom for America and for all the world as we join here together this morning. Thank you. Now it's time to call to order the Ohio Republican State Central and Executive Committee meeting. And before we begin, I'd like to ask one of our newly elected members, who we're very excited to have on our committee, Stephanie Garrett from the Senate District, to come up and lead us in the invitation. Stephanie.
Thank you for our safe travels here. We ask a special blessing on those in leadership, our state leaders, our county leaders, our township trustees. Lord, may they be men and women of courage and follow your values and great men of character. Lord, we ask that you be with us today as we make decisions for the Republican Party. Please help us make wise decisions for your glory and be with us as we travel home. Thank you very much. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Please remain standing. So to honor America, I'm going to ask Craig Schweitzer for the 19th Senate District to come forward and join us in leading the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the roll call here in just a moment. I have a couple of quick announcements that I just want to make. Talk about these matters.
If we move the seats over.
Joyce, one a soccer one, and then one I think a little both for all of us. One of those joyous ones, and I wasn't really expecting to see her here.
the whole
I'm happy that we do have her here. You all know, I've gotten to know, and there are many of the new faces here you will get to know, you will get to adore our wonderful political director, Katie Egan. And about 2 weeks ago, Katie gave birth to her little baby daughter, Maeve. And Maeve is happy and healthy and with us, and not with us today, but here. And Katie's here with us. So Katie, congratulations. Katie keeps telling us she's going to be back to work right away, and I said, take your time, we'll be fine. So it's still wonderful to see her here today. For Katie, my right hand, and my left hand also unfortunately cannot be here today. Matthew McCall, who had a death in the family and has to be down in Cincinnati. An uncle who passed away, and that funeral unfortunately is today. So he's not with us, but for those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet our executive director, Matthew McCall, we could not be served by a better person, and we're just so pleased to have him. So those of you who do know, we already know that. Those of you who haven't gotten a chance to meet with them, you will soon, and you will love to meet him. The only thing I wanted to mention, you're going to hear more about this later in the agenda from Chairman Bennett. We spent the last several days, we're all a little bit weary this morning because we've been back and forth to Cleveland all week because we had an opportunity to host the Republican National Committee, a site selection committee, who came in to take a look at Cleveland as a possible location for the 2016 Republican National Convention. I won't steal any of Chairman Bennett's thunder. I know he's got a lot to say. They looked at us first, and they went on to the other 3 cities, and I can tell you, they might as well have canceled the rest of the trips, because they put on such a great show in Cleveland. We've got to bring this convention to Ohio. I can't wait until we have an opportunity to vote on this later this year, Bob, and we're going to bring this convention to Cleveland. I couldn't be more excited about it. They did such a great job. Anyway, enough of those. Let's continue to roll through this, and let's go ahead and have the reading of the meeting notice and roll call, and for that I'll recognize Secretary Marilyn Ashcraft.
Good morning. On May 15th, a letter was sent out saying you are hereby notified the Republican State Central and Executive Committee of Ohio will conduct a meeting at 10 a.m. on Friday, June 6th at the Ohio Republican Meeting Center located at 368 South Court. Parking is available in the surface lots. James Horton.
Here.
Cheryl Buckley.
Here.
Mark Wagner.
Here.
Dee Talmadge. David Goodman.
Here.
Joanne Davidson.
Here.
Tim Evans.
Here.
Patty Alderson.
Here.
Gerald McAfee.
Here.
Stephanie Garrett.
Here.
Pat Flanagan. Judy Westbrook.
Here.
Bob McEwen. Michelle Snyder.
Here.
Alex. Marion Christie.
Here.
Stanley Arnold. Crystal Faulkner.
Here.
Steve Austria.
Here.
Brenda Lewis.
Here.
Bill Delaney.
Here.
Megan Gallagher.
Here.
Keith Cheney.
Here.
Renee Lenz.
Here.
Bob Russo.
Here.
Joy Powell.
Here.
Greg Simpson.
Here.
Kay Reynolds.
Here.
Doug Price.
Here.
Carolyn Petrie.
Here.
Stephen White. Susie O'Brien. Bill Bowman. Bonnie Ward.
Here.
John Mancini.
Here.
Jerry O'Toole.
Here.
Greg Schweitzer.
Here.
Terry Morgan.
Here.
Pat Hennessy.
Here.
Diana Flegel.
Here.
Joe Miller.
Here.
Susan Rodman. Dan Brockton.
Here.
Sharon Ray.
Here.
Bob Bennett.
Here.
Doris. Eureka.
Here.
Jeff Dean. Nancy Seville
Here.
Dan Carter.
Here.
Denise Virgil.
Here.
Birdie. Sorry. Denise.
Here.
John Matthews.
Here.
Lisa Cooper.
Here.
Brian Williams.
Here.
Lauren LaRose. Jim Simon.
Here.
Debbie Walsh.
Here.
Kirk Braden. Sarah Brown,
Here.
Jim Carnes,
Here.
Gary Burkholder,
Here.
Betty Montgomery,
Here.
Stacy O'Brien,
Here.
Melissa Polk,
Here.
Dave Johnson, Tracy Winbush.
Here.
Thank you, Marilyn. We indeed have a quorum. Now, it is my pleasure to administer the oath of office to all the elected members of the Republican State Central Executive Committee of Ohio. So will all of our elected members of the Executive Committee please stand? Raise your right hand and repeat after me, and we'll add Mr. Flanagan to the roll, please. Get to a seat. I, who's the name? We got those all. Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
that I will obey the rules and bylaws
that I will obey the rules and bylaws
of the Republican National Committee
of the Republican National Committee
and the rules and bylaws
and the rules and bylaws
of the Republican State Central and Executive Committee
of the Republican State Central and Executive Committee
of Ohio,
of Ohio,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties as State Central Committeeman
the duties of State Central Committee
of my district
of my district
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. It's now time for the appointment of a parliamentarian, and I'm going to recognize Darrell Mahaffey for the purposes of a motion to appoint Chris Slagle, parliamentarian.
Chairman, I would like to
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Jim Barnes. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Chris, congratulations, you're our parliamentarian once again. Now I'd like to, I'd ask you to look into your folders where you'll see the agenda for today's meeting, and I recognize Judy Westbrook for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second to the motion? Second, Tracy Winbush, and are all opposed, excuse me, all in favor of the motion approving the agenda, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? We will accept the agenda for today's meeting. There is a copy of the minutes from our last meeting in your packages. I will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from the last meeting. And I was going to recognize Lauren on the road, but she's still dropping her kids off, so keep it for some. Bob Rousseau, thanks for being here. I'll recognize Bob Rousseau for that motion. Is there a second to that motion? Second, name of Debbie Walsh. And all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we'll move on to new business.
Someone up on the phone, I don't believe got a copy of this, meeting minutes, so if those could be sent to us, that would be great.
They were sent. Ray informed me that those were sent. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who I was hearing. Who was it that said that?
This was Lisa Cooper, and I didn't get, I got the packet, but there was no minutes in the packet.
Ray, will you have to send Lisa those right away? I will. Lisa, as I think you are aware, having already participated in one meeting by phone, today you are certainly allowed to listen in on our meeting, but you cannot participate in today's votes, so we will get you those with all post haste, and so that you have them. However, we cannot have you participate in any of today's official business of today's meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
I understand that.
Okay, understood.
Mr. Chairman, is there anyone else that will not be able to vote today that is called in like the previous meeting that's on the phone today?
Two other members that I'm aware of that are on the phone, Speaker Davidson and Betty Montgomery were present along with you
Right.
at the meeting, so they did not burn their one-time exception within our party rules. I'm not aware of anyone else who is on the phone and
Danforth is Sharon Ray's on the phone as well.
Sharon Ray is on the phone, but did not participate in the phone meeting the last time, so she has not burned her one-time meeting exception, phone exception for the last time. So unfortunately, this is the only one. Well, we certainly, and we made her aware of this prior to the meeting. She's perfectly allowed to listen in on today's meeting, and we enjoy having her. But we can't count her for purposes of quorum. We can't count her for purposes of motions.
I understand, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to see if there were any other members, and I appreciate the clarification.
Absolutely. I think we're moving into new business. We have a few resolutions in front of you. You should all have them in your packets. These are the resolutions that we pass each time we constitute our reorganization. And the first resolution I'll give you all a moment to review is the resolution creating the Ohio Republican State Central and Executive Committee. Let's give you just a minute to find those, and before I recognize Chairman Bennett for the purposes of introducing this resolution to create the Ohio Republican State Central and Executive Committee, I'll just give everyone a minute to find those. Will anyone let me know if they're having any trouble finding those in their packet, and if they have any questions about it?
Mr. Chairman, my packet does not have it.
Okay, would someone please get Mr. Gordon a copy of the resolution, the first resolution creating the executive committee, if I have a copy around. Okay, you'll give that to. Anyone else who does not have that resolution in their packet?
Are there two resolutions?
Chairman, you do not have that? No, I have. I want to let Jim take a look at it before we make a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, there were three. I don't have any
You
of
don't
them.
have any of them? Okay, let's get them all to Jim Martin, please. Anyone else who does not have these resolutions, which one they look like? Thank you, resolution. First one, creating an executive committee. The second one, to reappoint the officers of the Central Committee. The third one, designating a fundraising adjunct. We can explain all of these as they go along. If they're not in your packets, let's get them to you now so you can look them over very quickly.
Mr. Chairman, they're in the left side of the packet.
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone has them properly constituted before we move forward. It is possible by clerical errors they may have left out one or two. Just want to make sure everyone's got them. Everyone indeed have them in front of them now. If so, I will go ahead and recognize Chairman Bennett.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution creating an executive committee by adding the names of our finance chair and our co-finance chair.
Okay. So we'll move to adopt resolution one. Is there a motion from Bob Rousseau? Is there a second? Okay. Is there a second? Joyce Howe? In that case, I will ask. Okay. In that case, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. We're going to move on then to resolution 2, to reappoint the officers of the Central Committee as the officers of the Ohio Republican State and Central Committee and Executive Committee's federal accounts. I'll give you a moment to review that. Does anyone not have that in front of them at the moment? Hearing none, I'm going to. You can hear me okay without this, can't you? Yes. All right, should be good. Thank you. I'm going to recognize Bonnie Ward. Hello, Lauren. To recognize Bonnie Ward for the purposes of an introduction of Resolution 2, a resolution declaring the Ohio Republican State Central Executive Committee a federal campaign committee. Bonnie?
I move to adopt resolution 2.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? I got a second from Jeff Dean. In which case we have a motion properly seconded. I'll now ask for a vote. All those in favor of adopting that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will pass that motion. There is in fact a third resolution in our packets. It is a resolution designating a fundraising pension. Resolution 3 is the designation of the Ohio Republican Finance Committee as a fundraising adjunct of the Ohio Republican State Central and Executive Committee. The chair recognizes Kay Reynolds for purposes of introduction of Resolution 3 that designates the Ohio Republican Finance Committee as a fundraising adjunct of the Ohio Republican State Central and Executive Committee. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of Resolution 3 that designates the Ohio Republican Finance Committee as a fundraising adjunct of the Ohio Republican State Central Executive Committee.
Thank you. Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded from Keith Cheney. All those in favor of this motion, signify please by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Resolution 3 has been adopted. We will now move on to the nomination of the Committee on Committees Chair. The chair recognizes Brenda Lewis for a motion to nominate Sarah Brown as the chairperson of the Committee on Committees chairperson, as well as the members of said committee. Brenda?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Sarah Brown to serve as the chairperson on the Committee of Committees and nominate Bill Bowman and Sharon Ray to serve on that committee.
Is there a second to that motion? I have a second from Pat Hennessy. And all those in favor of that nomination, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Sharon Ray is appointed. You have in front of you a report from the Committee on Committees, and I'm going to recognize Sarah Brown for said report from the Committee on Committees. Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Chairman Borges, and happy birthday, by the way.
Not till tomorrow.
The whippersnapper is almost old enough for this job. Rich's been doing it, he's a real man for several years now. The Committee on Committees has met, and thank you to Sharon and Phil Bowman and all the staff for their help coordinating all of the requests from all of you for committee assignments. You have before you a list of the committee assignments as recommended by the Committee on Committees. We have tried very hard to combine both requests with seniority and, of course, our confidence in the leadership of the Ohio Republican Party. So I would move now that the committee assignments given to you by the committees be adopted. Is there a motion? Thank you very much. And thank you for all of your work and participation on these committees. There is a lot of work to be done, and since I'm one of the oldest people on this committee, next to Charlie Bennett, and Matt Flanagan, I'll give a little anecdote here, and I couldn't help thinking as this meeting got underway, and I watched a large group of people here attending to what was going on here with serious intent. In 1974, my husband Charles and I went up to Garrettsville with our then 4-year-old son to sit in the cold for 6 hours in lawn chairs and wait for President Richard Nixon to drive through Garrettsville, Ohio, so that our firstborn child could see a president up close. And I do remember that was a very momentous occasion in that electoral cycle, because that's when the lady stepped out from the road and stopped the cavalcade. But more strong in my recollection is that there were a lot of handmade signs in downtown Garrettsville that real folks were holding up that said, "Mr. President, bring us together." That was a new slogan at that time in 1974. It was profound, and it's been used over and over again. But I feel very strongly that the Ohio Republican Party will work very hard under good leadership and Governor Kasich good leadership to bring us together. Thank you very much.
So you have the committee assignment list in front of you, and we have a motion that has been made and has been seconded. I'd like to ask now if there's any discussion on this motion, and I recognize Gary Burkle.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's difficult for me to stand at this time and make these comments to my fellow committee members, members of the public. But we all just took an oath, not only to the United States Constitution and the Ohio Constitution, but to the bylaws and rules of the National Committee and the State Party Committee. I'm going to be voting a vote of no confidence today relative to these committee assignments. And I want my fellow members to understand that it's not a no vote, it's not a lack of confidence in them, it's a lack of confidence in the process, it's the lack of integrity in the process, and those responsible for that. If some of you recall, the new members don't recall this, but many of you that were here in this same room a couple of meetings ago recall that I asked a specific question regarding whether our state office holders, which we all endorse, would be endorsing against incumbent members of this committee. With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, you wouldn't answer the question. And you said, well, we'll be making telephone calls. I think it's a violation of the rules, or at least the spirit of the rules, when the new members elected to this committee didn't even get a notice or an invitation to submit what committees they would like. They weren't even aware of what those committees were. It's not just me, but there were other incumbents that were running for re-election after the endorsement by this committee that had party officials recruit other candidates to run against them. Challengers to us on this committee were allowed to use the Ohio Republican bulk mailing permit, which in my opinion has always been a violation of the rules.
Gary, I want to ask you to keep your comments germane to the question before the committee is on,
This is the justification.
which is regard to the discussion with regard to the
Mr. Chairman,
committee assignments that
Okay,
are,
Mr. Chairman.
the motion that is on the floor with regard to approving the committee assignments
that's why
currently.
I'm voting no, Mr. Chairman. I'm in my,
You will have an opportunity to vote. We will take a vote here in a moment. This is a discussion with regard to the motion that is on the floor with regard to committee assignments. So I will ask you to keep your comments germane to the discussion. that is on the floor, regarding the motion that is on the floor
Well,
at the moment.
this is an example of the lack, the suppression of debate. My final point, the day before the election, we get a letter from the Casey Taylor team endorsing our challengers. Several of us received this letter. That's a lack of loyalty, that's disloyal, and it is in violation of our party rules. So I don't know why we endorse our state office holders when the day before the election, they decide they're going to endorse against the incumbent members of this state committee.
Gary, I'm still trying to figure out what this has to do with the motion on the floor.
I'm voting no, Mr. Chairman.
There will be an opportunity to vote. Do you have any further discussion on the motion that's on
Thank
the
you,
floor?
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion germane to the motion that's presently on the floor with regard to the committee assignments that you have in front of you?
Can we get a roll call vote on that, Mr. Chairman?
Chris, can we get a roll call? Can we do a roll call vote on this? So are you making a motion for a roll call vote, Gary? Is there a second to the motion to have a roll call vote?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Dan Brockton. So do we have a full vote on whether or not we have a roll call vote? I'll ask the committee to vote on whether or not we would like to have a roll call vote on whether or not we want to accept the recommendations made by the Committee on Committees on the committee assignments that have been properly made by that committee Committee on Committees. All those in favor of having a roll call vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
The motion fails. I will then proceed now to a vote that was, on the motion that was properly made and seconded on whether we should accept the list of committee assignments that you have in front of you. All those in favor of these committee assignments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
We are the motion passes, and we are accepting this list of committee assignments and moving on. We now have an opportunity to have a treasurer's report, and I believe we'll brief, but I have a treasurer's report from our treasurer, Renee Lenz. Renee?
Good morning, everybody. Does everyone have the balance sheet? And behind it should be the profit and loss statement in your packet. Mine was on my right side, so I don't know if that's where everybody's is, but does everybody have a copy?
No.
I want everybody to see good news, that's why. If you notice, this is through May 31st, and it has the balances of the different accounts. The federal account balance is $235,294.26. The state accounts, all of them together, is $788,295.02. And the balance of all funds is $1,023,589.28. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that came to the state dinner, and I'd like to thank Susan Wadner and for a wonderful job. And Matt, for the job he did for the state dinner. It was a wonderful opportunity to meet people, and it was a great fundraiser, and thank you very much. Thank you.
I know we don't have an official report of the budget committee, but Darrell, I'm happy. Do you have a few comments that you wanted to add just with regard to the budget committee presently?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning.
Good morning.
My budget committee reviewed the budget yesterday over at the party headquarters, and the party is in much stronger position than we were at the last meeting. And that is due to the hard work of our chairman and his diligence in raising funds. At this point, we are $680,000 ahead of fundraising goals. We've been able to pay the bills on a timely manner and pay down significant debt from last year, leaving us with a strong balance headed into the November elections. I want to thank my committee, Marianne Christie and Kay Reynolds, and also want to, of course, thank Matt McCullough and Sherry Warner, who help out our budget committee quite often. And I think we owe Chairman Borges a note of gratitude. He's been out there beating the bushes, and he's been bringing in significant money for us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Darrell. And thank you, Renee. One point I wanted to raise, there was an article that appeared in the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, I forget which one it was, not too long ago, that I was pointing out some of these outside groups are spending on direct support candidates. I think it made the point that some of these outside groups are spending as little as 7% of their actual overall budgets on direct support of candidates. The rest of it's going to administrative costs and paying consultants and that sort of thing. So I asked our folks internally to do an analysis of well, you know, we raise a lot of money in the environmental market, $10 million, since I've been elected chairman, and $26 million in 2012 alone. And how much of that money actually goes to supporting candidates? And it was over 83% of what we raised goes actually straight to candidates. We can and will do better, and we'll continue to, but we are here to get elected, to get Republicans elected. That's what this is all about. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to have a couple of campaign updates and reports here in just a minute, and I want to just do something really quickly. Our campaigns exist, and our lifeblood is all of you, and folks who are out there representing your state party and your local organizations, and we really appreciate what you do so much. As I said, there are local reorganizational meetings happening all over the state. Just a few folks, and I know there are many more who are involved in your local organizations who are here today. Alex Ranfield, who actually is not here today, was re-elected chairman of the Hamilton County Republican Party last night. Kay Reynolds, our wonderful co-chair, was re-elected co-chair of the Scioto County Republican Party. Keith Cheney, of course, will continue to serve in Allen County. We appreciate him for that. John Matthews, unanimously re-elected up in Marion County, and we appreciate him for that. One of our guests here today was just elected in Seneca County, Eric Moss. If you want to stand up and just raise his arm our committee. Great, bright new leader for this state. I know I saw John Steinberg around here somewhere, and he's running the re-election. Where is he? Somewhere. He's running the re-election up in Lucas County. I think next week. I know I probably missed someone here in the room, but thank you all for all you do for your local organizations. Like I said, it's our lifeblood. We appreciate what you do, just really couldn't thank you enough. So with that, I'm going to ask Jeff Wilsowski to come forward. Jeff and Dave, is he going to join you, or just you, Jeff?
Yeah, Dave's going to come up too.
Dave and Scott Blake, who are just doing such a wonderful job with the Kasich operation. Give me an update on what's happening with Kasich Taylor campaign.
Chairman, we appreciate all of your support, and thank you guys all for being here. This is an interesting venue. I know we actually work upstairs, and you're sitting in a phone bank right now, so there are phones under your chairs. We're expecting a few hundred calls before you get out here today. And Sarah Brown, you don't look a day over 40. I don't know how you were seeing Nixon in 1974. Where's the judge? Hey, Judge. So I want to just give you guys a quick just update on what we've been up to, what the governor's been up to. On the operations front, we have 6 members of our campaign team that are all working upstairs, like I said. Matt Carl, who's our campaign manager. I'm not sure if Matt is down here right now. Kevin Bingle, who's standing on the chair over here, is our digital director. Connie Weirkamp does our communications. Dave Lepetic and Scott Blake here are doing our political grassroots operations. And, it kind of got me thinking a little bit about the 6 people and me. I've been part of this team, part of the governor's sort of campaign team for the last 6 years. We're strong in experience. I think it's something that's important to point out. Everybody that I just named has been a part of this team for 6 years, 5 years, or 4 years. And I think it goes a lot to the governor and keeping strong people around him, and just the knowledge of Ohio. None of us have come in over the last year like some of our challengers team, as we've seen. Everybody has gotten to know this state over the last half decade, basically, and we've been out doing a lot on the grassroots side, which you're going to hear from Dave in a little bit. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about what the governor's been doing over the past few months. And really, it hinges all around the fact that Ohioans have created over 250,000 new jobs since January of 2011. I have a list here that I just wanted to kind of rattle off a few of them because they've really been happening all year. But in the last few months, in Southwest Ohio, GE, 1,400 jobs announced in April. Fleow in Western Ohio over Dayton, 800 jobs. Whirlpool, 400 in Greenville. P&G, 800 jobs coming to Union near Dayton. White Castle, Meyer just happened, I believe, yesterday. 100 jobs coming to Tip City to a new production facility. Ribbon cutting on Wednesday in Ferguson, Ohio. 70 jobs coming to Salina. Northwest Ohio, McLean, 425 jobs coming to Findlay. That was announced in May. Lakeview Farms, 200 jobs in Delphus. Daisy Brand, Northeast Ohio, 89 jobs coming to Worcester. And in Central Ohio, announced earlier this year, Cheryl's 1-800 Flowers, 92 jobs coming to Westerville. So, the governor's been doing a lot of that travel. This week, the mid-item review reached its final approval from the legislature. And over the next few weeks, the governor's going to be traveling around the state, signing a lot of this legislation. And I just wanted to kind of talk about a few of the points that were, the strong points here, that you'll see that the governor will be out around the state signing these additional small business tax cuts. Building on the 50% small business tax deduction enacted last year, the personal income tax deduction on small business income will be temporarily increased to 75% for tax year 2014. Basically means that Ohio's private sector job creators are able to further invest in growing the business, expanding Ohio's economy and creating jobs, and also accelerating the 10% income tax cut. Beginning soon after July 1st, the state will reduce income tax withholding rates 6 months ahead of schedule. As a result, taxpayers will enjoy the full 10% income tax cut that was set to begin in January of 2015. This follows a 9% reduction of withholding rates last fall, all part of a $2.7 billion net tax cut being phased in over 3 years. And also new tax relief for low and middle income Ohioans. Ohio's low and middle income families receive additional tax relief. So the governor's going to be out around the state. I'm sure we'll be contacting a lot of you guys and move around and sign some of this legislation. I wanted to get back to kind of the political side a little bit. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen some of the bio spots from the governor that have been running over the last few months, kind of introduction of the governor, where he came from, where he's been, and where we're headed. So hopefully you guys had a chance to see those. They spent some time on television and then online. I was looking for Kevin. Really had some interesting numbers that we were able to run the ad online on some new sort of platforms like YouTube and get some new faces to view these. New fundraising numbers will be coming out next Friday. We had, I believe, about 8.5 million last filing, so we'll see, look for those numbers to come out next Friday. And then our online presence, Kevin had walked away, but want to make sure you guys know where to get the information at kasich4ohio.com. I believe our strong online presence is there. A lot of information on the blog. We have a strong team that David's going to talk about in each county. We're adding digital directors to make sure we're echoing the message, pushing out what the governor's been doing all across the state. And we'll have some kind of cool new things coming out here in the next few weeks. Our online store and a sort of incentive-based program called Captains for Kasich, which will be launching here pretty soon to get people kind of engaged on the online front, which will sort of carry us over into Dave. I want to introduce Dave Lepetic, who's been a part of our team, and Dave is going to talk a little bit about our grassroots operation. And Chairman Board, just appreciate what you guys have done. I just wanted to reiterate the synergy among the campaigns and and Chairman Borges, and them being a resource is stronger than it's been since I've seen it, since I've been around for 10 years. I know it doesn't look that way, Sarah, but in politics for about 10 years and worked on as political director on the campaign in 2010, and we're so fortunate to have Chairman Borges and Matt McCall and the rest of the team here to support our efforts, and we're lucky to be so close, right around the corner, so we can steal water jugs and ink toners. We pay for them, though, don't worry, that's steal. So I appreciate it, and thank you guys for being here and listening, and I want to have David Pettit come up here and talk a little bit about our dressers. Thanks, Jeff. And the governor, as you can see, has been incredibly busy doing the job the voters left him to do, traveling the state, getting jobs into Ohio. And while he's busy doing that incredibly important job, we have building a grassroots infrastructure with the county chairs out there, you guys, the Central Committee members throughout the state. We actually have 88 county campaign chairs that work in coordination in conjunction with our existing county party structures. And those actually are managed by a great volunteer force, one of them being John Matthews and Sharon Ray, who are on this committee. Our regional volunteer chairs, about 19 of them over the course of 13 districts, manage and work with those county chairs every day for us and take a big piece of that managerial job off of us. And we knew it was going to take a very, very large team in a lot of these counties to be successful. So what our county chairs have been doing is building micro-organizations within their counties. Not only helping the state party recruit precinct leaders, they are right now currently recruiting and have recruited volunteer and grassroots coordinators to help work on our door-to-door and phone bank operations. Our always favorite thing, the yard sign coordinator. We are already starting to lock down yard sign locations. Everyone don't worry, we will get a big shipment of those in soon. And as Jeff mentioned, and this is something I think is a little bit unique, we work with Kevin Bagel on it very closely, is the campaign coordinators, folks that can echo our message, attack and defend on the local level, on Twitter and Facebook, and it's become incredible. This team, this reaction team, has been amazing online. And if you guys aren't on social media, please jump on. You can see some of these guys in action. And a lot of our chairs, surprisingly, have built out city chairs, township chairs throughout the counties. So we have this great team. And our grassroots structure is extremely strong. Actually, I'm incredibly proud of it. We've been building it for over a year now. We always said it would be hard to recapture the energy from 2010, but I think we're doing that by the sheer great leaders that we have. Jeff mentioned the coordination with the Ohio Republican Party, and it's been amazing. Actually, the coordination has been flawless and seamless, working with Brian Zickefoos and his staff on the victory end, and Matt McAuliffe and Katie Egan. It has been incredible, and what a change, and it has been working in our benefit. Working together, we've already started collecting important information about voters, and as we all know, it's incredibly important speaking with them one-on-one, whether that be on the phone or on the doors. And that benefit is priceless on several different ways. Not only is it moving the ball down the line for the governor, but those votes will translate down ticket to folks like Josh Mandel and Mike DeWine, Ohio House and Senate candidates, and hopefully some of your county candidates that are on the ballot this year. But even more importantly, is looking to the future, helping recruit those precinct folks in each of those counties. We'll start laying the infrastructure for 2016, being a Republican elected in the White House. We've had two major grassroots events in coordination with the state party, a Casey Door-to-Door Weekend, which I know a lot of you participated in, and a National Day of Action. So this campaign with the state party has already done two major statewide grassroots door-knock operations, which almost every single county has taken part in. And now, and I hope you guys will get involved with this, we are continuing to go door-to-door on our rotation operation that the Victory campaign has laid out since April. So we really got started early, and that was important to us. And we actually got it started so early. We were actually making calls where you guys are sitting right now since January 2nd. Since January 2nd, we're making calls in this operation. And what does that mean? It means we're ahead of the game. We've already ID'd thousands of voters and made hundreds of thousands of calls throughout the state, which puts us ahead of, I believe, our opponents and all the Democrats in general. But we know we have to stay aggressive. So we want you guys involved. We want you guys helping us out there with when the governor comes through town, we'll obviously be in touch with you. But help us hit those doors, help us get in those phone banks and fill them up. There'll be more to come from this campaign, but I can assure you that we will beat our opponents on the ground and in the field every day. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chairman.
I knew I forgot a couple of other local organizations that I failed to recognize. Of course, Pat Hennessy, of course, Stephanie Garrett, Renee Lenz continues to serve in Logan County, so we appreciate everything that you guys are all doing. So thank you so much. A couple of other things I just want to mention really quickly while we were talking about our balance sheet. One thing that you have in front of you, I think it represents a very strong balance sheet, is we have been able to directly support financially our candidates that won't show up on our balance sheet right now because we've already given over $1 million cash to our candidates right now, including a $500,000 direct contribution to the Kasich campaign, and $1 million in in-kind contributions to our candidates, not just our statewide candidates, our legislative candidates and others around the state. And so we're very, very proud of that. So you can have that on top of what you see in front of you because we have been working extraordinarily hard. And as you know, in the past, so much of the budget of the Ohio Republican Party has come from money that's been passed through from the Republican National Committee. Well, that's not the case anymore. In years past, we would have anywhere from 5 to, and I'm not kidding about this, $25 million come to the state party from the Republican National Committee, depending on the cycle and depending on the year. This year, we get $750,000 from them. Now, I'm not complaining, I'm happy to have it. But everything else that we're raising and contributing to our candidates, we're doing it. So I'm doing it with all of your help, I'm doing it with all the support and help and the collaboration and cooperation with our other friends and candidates around the state. We did an event in Dayton with Speaker Boehner, and we've done roundtable discussions with donors down in Cincinnati, and we're out there working hard every single day, and we'll continue to do it because we're here to do the work we promised you that we do a long time ago and make you proud. So, I want to move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is the introduction of our deputy political director, who is doing his absolute best to fill the shoes impossible to do, the shoes of Katie Egan, while she is off to taking care of her family. Greg Allison is doing such a wonderful job, and of course we pulled a coup and were able to bring on Jen Thrasher to take on the role of our coalition director to again fill the impossible shoes, the shoes that are impossible to fill of Susan Wagner, who's helping us in our capacity of finance director now. So I'm going to ask both Greg and Jen to come up here and give us a little update on what they're doing, and then have Ryan Ziegler, who's coming forward to give a quick report on what's happening with the Victory Program and Red to the Roots. So if you could come forward and give your little reports, that would be great. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. We got some major projects going on right now. The big one is the county fairs are already starting next week. So we're going to make sure we get all of our literature out to all of our county parties, and so that's a big undertaking for our interns anyway. And then also we have a lot of county chairs coming in, so we need to coordinate with all of them and make sure we have all their information, so all the different campaigns know what is going on. And also we would love to work with you if you know any changes going on. We'd like to please send me an email. It's just Allison@OhioGOP.org. So thank you. If you have any questions later, I'll stick around. Thanks.
Morning, everybody. Jen Thrasher, Coalition Instructor. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to give you guys an update on what we have going on with our Coalitions program. In case you don't know, we have 7 coalitions. We have agriculture, sportsmen, Second Amendment, educators, faith and values, veterans, and small business. We are working to fill a county coordinator position for each one of the 7 coalitions in all 88 counties. We're also working on building out with general membership. We started to do some different events around the state. We were lucky enough to have 2 opportunities so far to have roundtables with the Lieutenant Governor, Mary Taylor. We did one in Mercer County about a week or so, 2 weeks back, and went together after a while. With the small business and the agriculture coalition, we had probably about 30, 40 people there. We had a good discussion, and then also about a month ago, we had one in Northeast Ohio that I think pulled from 8 or 9 counties over in Portage County, and it was by the Sportsman and the Second Amendment Coalition, so we got a lot of good discussion and feedback. We're working on some things from that. Also, along with the recent state dinner, we hosted a statewide training, and a good turnout for that. And then they were invited to a special reception at the governor's residence afterwards for grassroots folks. The feedback we heard is pretty good. Just Wednesday of this week, we did a rollout. We went to our members and county coordinators of our coalitions. We did our summer action rollout plan. So that is a 5-point action plan that they will be receiving in the mail. With some information, we're working on data collection, building our organization, voter registration efforts, having them make sure they get out and share all the information and our messaging points. So we're really excited about that. In your guys' folders, I think you have a few of the coalition forms, and they look like this. If you need any more, if you're interested, want more information, or you want to get involved, we do monthly newsletters that are going on, we have special action alerts, special previews of things that we're forwarding to these numbers. We'd love to get you involved. And my contact information is on there as well. My email is Thrasher@OhioGOP.org, and my cell phone number is 440-796-0055, and there's on there as well. So thank you so much. And enjoy your time today. Thank you very much.
For the new members, my name is Ryan Bruce. I'm the RNC State Director for Ohio. So I run the Victory operation, the Red Roots operation throughout the state. And we kicked this operation off a lot sooner than we have in the past. We started 9 months ago. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you guys for your guys' help with county parties, your guys' state committees, your organizations, for helping us recruit the precinct leaders, the neighborhood activists, as we try and transform what exactly a volunteer is and what the responsibility is into kind of a neighbor-to-neighbor touch, as opposed to traveling around and going into foreign precincts and that kind of thing while they're making door-to-door knocking doors. Today we've recruited over 1,500 precinct leaders statewide. I know Doug Price and Chairman Price and his group has what do you guys have to 489 right now precinct leaders just in this county. So with chairman like that and the support of other chairmen across the state, the program's been pretty successful. Of those 1,500 precinct leaders, we've been able to train many of them on new technologies that we're putting forth this election to help with our voter contact efforts. And the new door-to-door app that we have a couple of door-to-door apps that we're playing around with, and everything's been really successful in getting that data in real time. But in the last month, we've kind of made a change from this recruitment and training process, and now that the months have warmed up, we are moving into our voter contact as we should. And Dave kind of hit on it here a little bit ago. That we're getting started earlier. My staff's been in place since September of last year, it's great to get this early start. To give you a couple of the metrics on how everything's been going. This phone, I'd like to recognize a couple of my staff members as well. We brought on a couple of new staff members. Lindsay Workman, who's sitting back there, runs this phone center, and she's been busting her tail in this office, and they're averaging over the last 2 weeks, I think, over 3,000 calls a night in this center here. Overall, we've made almost 150,000 calls since January, which is way ahead of where we would have been if we couldn't have had this program implemented so soon. We also hired on Chris Martinez, who is not here. He's the new Victory Center captain up in Independence, where our other phone bank is. And then we also acquired Ryan Holiday, who is in the southwestern regional part of the state. In that district, as Greg moved on to, got promoted to deputy political director, we filled his spot with Ryan Holiday, who's down there working with that candidate. I also wanted to mention Jacob McConkey, who's here. He's been busting his butt here in central Ohio, working with Franklin County, and my saving grace over there, Blair Cathcart. I couldn't do my job without him because he is just, I can barely work an Excel spreadsheet, and he writes me all kinds of programs. We're also bringing on Megan Wadsworth Monday. She's going to be the deputy state director. But as I said, we've made about 150,000 calls so far in the phone banks. I want to thank the Kasich administration. They're over here every night. Their staff is over here every night making phone calls. I'd also like to say thank the other statewide. This week we started a rotation of the statewide campaigns. Each one of them have a night over here as well. And the Franklin County 804 group had their first night this week on Wednesday night. So thank you to you guys. And then lastly, I'd like to go over this rotation. Many of you might have heard of this. We've done a great job of recruiting all these 1,500 precinct leaders. But now, the weather's warming up and we need to start knocking doors. So what we've done is, out of the 5 regions in the state, we've broken each region into 4 different regions. And we go on a 4-week rotation. And we launch the precinct leaders in any given group of the quarter of each region on a weekly basis. So we have 4 groups that we break down into 4 different weeks, and we launch each one. And we'll start this rotation of giving volunteers the opportunity to accomplish a walkbook in their own time, and not having to be in a certification. And the methodology behind that is hoping that we can capitalize on their time instead of requesting that they come and knock on our time. We are on week 3 of that right now. We will be seeing the fruit of our labor here in the next couple weeks. The last thing I'd like to say, and Dave mentioned this a little bit earlier too, they have an outstanding Kasich County Chairs team across the state, and our regional staff is working with them hand in hand. And their staff is, as you said, is organizing door-to-doors across the state and filling the gaps where we don't have precinct leaders. And it's really been a smooth relationship with the Red to the Roots and the Kasich campaign in getting out and knocking doors. And that's my update. I will be around. If you guys have any questions or concerns about the program, I'll be around. Please grab me during lunch. I think we're close to lunch now anyway, so I'll turn it back over to the chairman.
Chairman arrives, we have a few minutes to kill, so I can give a chairman's report before we wrap up. I promise it won't be as much. We had a very nice dinner last night for those who were able to make it. We got together with several of our new members, and it was just nice to get together in an informal social setting and just kind of put a name with a face with a few new members and talk about what our party's all about and how we can start working together. I think we talked about possibly even going over to headquarters after this meeting is over, or taking a few folks over and just kind of going and showing the very, very exciting building that we have over there, and kind of what we do, who we are, what roles we play, and where we do that. We talked about a lot of things today. A lot of numbers getting thrown around. Let me give you what I think may be the most important number for our relationship moving forward, and that is this one. Get your hands up. 614-204-1050. That's my cell phone number. If you ever need it for any reason, if you have a question about what's going on with the party, or something you hear, or something you read, call me. Let's talk about it. I know from time to time things go around. I read one last night that we ought to talk to each other about, instead of maybe folks talking to others who in most cases don't know what they're talking about. I'm not gonna respond to the thing that I saw last night. It was full of absolute garbage. None of it's true. I'll only make this commitment to you. I will never say those kinds of things about the people who say those things about me and about you. You know, I've kind of come to start to work some of this into the speeches I'm making in local, party settings. I have a 3-year-old daughter who's facing, she's been medically diagnosed with autism, and facing some real challenges. And she's going to be facing those for the rest of her life. But I watch in the morning when she wakes up, and the moment she wakes up, she is full tilt. She goes from 0 to happy in about 0.6 nanoseconds, and she stays that way for the rest of the day. She tackles challenges, and some of them are very, very difficult. She goes about them with every ounce of energy that she can possibly muster, and she enjoys them. She enjoys life to the fullest. And she runs as hard as she possibly can until she collapses at the end of the day and falls asleep for the night. And she's been a real inspiration for me about how we should all go about life, and how we should all go about tackling challenges and things that sometimes seem difficult and hard to overcome. And when we run into challenges and things that maybe seem like they're impossible or difficult or something that we might not be able to get along with each other on, I think about how she might go about something like that. She's 3. Okay? We're grown adults. And what we ought to do is think about how we can get along with each other and how we can work out our differences and how we can do things more like Lucy Borges does. And that's how I want to go about my life and my commitment, my continued commitment to running this party and the commitment that I've made to all of you and to our office holders and candidates that I'm just simply very proud to serve. So here's my request to all of you. Come build with us. Come build this party. We are doing great things for the state of Ohio. This state is moving in the right direction. Let's keep it going. And let's do it by standing together. We lost a great member of our state committee. He unfortunately passed away, now it's I guess a little over a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. And we will miss him sorely because he was a builder. He was somebody who maybe didn't always agree with on every single issue. I certainly didn't, and many others didn't. But he was in his county building coalitions and bringing people together to at least talk and talk out differences. His name was Jim Woods, and he will always be missed. Dan, I know we talked last night about big shoes you've got to fill, and I know that you are aware of that responsibility, and thank you for agreeing to take on that role, and I look forward very much to working with you. I look forward very much to working with all of you, new, old, I don't mean old, new or experienced members of the committee. And one of our most experienced members of the committee is someone who I would never call old, but I would certainly say has as much experience as anyone, has an update that I want him to give us because there's a really, really special thing I referenced earlier going on in Ohio, and that is with regard to the effort to bring the national convention to Cleveland. And I'm going to bring the microphone over, to bring over to Chairman Bennett, because he's got some more specifics and details he can give us about what's happening with that effort, because it would just be a wonderful thing for this state and for the city of Cleveland and for this country and this party if we could get this done. So Chairman Bennett, please give us an update on how, everything you observed that happened in Cleveland over the last few days.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that, as I mentioned Tuesday night at the Cleveland Museum of Art, that we blew the socks off of the committee when they were here. And I believe that we made it a community event, not just a political event, but a community event. And we were able to pull together some people that normally you wouldn't see. Beth Moody, the chairman, chief executive officer of Key Bank, Chris Connor, the CEO of that famous tank company up in Cleveland, Sherwin-Williams, and Eaton CEO, Sandy Cutler. So those are our 3 co-chairmen. We're bringing the convention to Cleveland. We feel we have a real good chance to make this happen. I don't think that we're going to go to Denver, because the first story out of there will be who's buying the funny brownies. I don't think we're going to go to Cass's at 100-degree heat during the summer. So I think our competition is probably Kansas City. But right now, I really feel that we have a leg up to everybody else, and they're going to play catch up with us. So, and I want to thank the chairman, because he ran up Monday night, Tuesday night, and he put in a full day's of work, had to run back and forth between Columbus and Cleveland those 2 nights, but his presence made a real difference. And I also want to thank Governor Casey, who came up Tuesday night and made a pitch for it. So all in all, I think that we have an excellent opportunity. I also gave you a report on our national committee meeting that was held in Memphis in early April. I'm not going to repeat anything there, but we have made some changes that I think that will benefit our opportunities from electing a president in 2016. And I think we're all well on our way of putting those rules and changes in place as voted on by the Republican National Committee. So, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions, I thank you for the time to explain for that, and we'll keep you informed as to what happens in Cleveland. And thank those committee members who also came to the dinner Tuesday night in Northeast Ohio. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much.
Boy, that was a good time, because I just noticed that Justice French came into the door. Any other business or anything else that we have before the committee? At the moment, I see Doris DeLuca has her hand up, so I'm going to ask Doris, recognize Doris here for a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Doris DeRica from Cleveland. As a newly elected member of the State Central Committee, I look forward to helping more Republicans get elected here in Ohio. One thing that I would request, because we do this in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, we have agendas for our meetings in 2 weeks in advance, and I was wondering if that'd be possible in the future, if we could get these agendas 2 weeks in advance so we can be prepared. That'd be possible.
Let's have a discussion about it. I think as you're aware, sometimes that is possible, and sometimes it isn't, depending on why we're meeting, the purpose of the meeting, and some things that are available. So let's effort and do our best, and make a commitment to you that when we can, we will we'll do our best. And thanks for raising that concern. I know it's been a concern that has been brought up by others. So thank you for your thoughts there. Where did our staff go? What are we doing about lunch? How are we getting to lunch? Should be delivered here. So the lunch is being delivered. So Justice French, do you want to just come on up and we'll get started, and then we'll have lunch come in as you're speaking? I want to introduce someone who I think is just doing a remarkable job. Great credit to the Ohio Supreme Court doing a fantastic job there, and is also taking part and working her tail off on the campaign trail. I'm sure you've all seen her in your areas, working as hard as you possibly can, and I have high expectations for her chances of success in November, and I think that she knows we at the state party are all in helping her in every way we possibly can. But she's everywhere, she's working hard, she's doing everything you could possibly expect her to do and more, and you don't need to hear from me anymore, you've heard enough from me. So I'm going to turn it over to our Supreme Court Justice and candidate for re-election in 2014, Judy French.
Hi everybody, I am Judy French. It's good to see so many familiar faces and so many friends again. For those of you I don't know, I can imagine there are very many of you in here, but I am one of our Supreme Court justices and I love my job. And I am doing everything I can to keep the job that I love. Thank you to all of you who have been supportive out in your districts and in your counties. That's been very helpful. But I wanted to let you know a little bit about my progress and what's happening, and then maybe get you thinking about some of the things that might be helpful. Last year, I was just a justice. And so I could travel and be just a justice without being a candidate so much. I was all 88 counties. I ate a chicken dinner in, I think, all 88 of those counties. But what a wonderful experience, and I am grateful for that opportunity to really see firsthand the diversity of the state and everything that is happening. So I ended up becoming a cheerleader, really, by the end of the year. I was positive before about Ohio, but now I'm preaching to my nieces and nephews about staying here and about the jobs that are available here. But now the reality is that I'm a candidate, and I have to be a candidate really every moment of every day, even as I'm driving. Usually about 1,000 miles a week, maybe 1,500 a week. Typically having somebody else driving, but that's the time that I get to work and do the work that I have to do for the court. There's about 61 counties this year, and we'll get to the rest of the 88 by the end of 2014 or before the election. So we are trying to reach out in every way we can. Every community that I go in, I try not just to talk to the Republicans. I reach out to the local Rotary, to the Farm Bureau, to the Kiwanis, the local high schools. I've been amazed, pleasantly surprised that the local media likes to come and follow a local school visit. Instead of done a lot of those, both for the enjoyment and for the coverage of it. So you all know your communities best. You know what organizations really are the organizations to reach out to. For some of you, it means I need to come to the county fair. I'm willing to do that, but I need to know when. I need to know what time. I can't just show up at the county fair and walk around with a t-shirt or a name tag on. So be thinking about those kinds of opportunities. What are the most important events that I could come to get the most exposure? And we are very willing to do that. The other thing that you can be doing is thinking about fundraising. I will not ask any of you directly for money. I'm not allowed to do that. So you never need to be afraid to be in a conversation with the judicial candidate because they can't ask you for money. But you all know your districts. You know where the fundraising opportunities are. So we are out there getting into all areas of the state, trying to hold those fundraisers and reach both smaller and larger donors. And that's something that you can help us with. It's just to identify those potential donors in your areas. Finally, there are some very simple things that you can do. This very large piece of literature, nearly life size, as some of you know. I know at to your testimony. There's some vital information here. For those of you who are on Facebook, please like my Facebook page. Justice Judy French, Judy John, but Justice Judy French on Facebook. And that's a great opportunity as we are posting pictures of me traveling around the state. That's a great opportunity for you to push out to people that you know, both at a personal level, professional, and political level. But that's a good way for you to push out our information and get that new ID out. It really, unfortunately, comes down to people remembering my name. People don't like the French so much, so I stay away from talking about French. But then people make Judge Judy, so I really say it a lot. My opponent's name, typically don't hear a lot of things talking about their opponent's name. My opponent's name is O'Donnell. So that is what this race is really about, is no one on the statewide level this year, but really getting that name to the right topic. So thank you all for the work that you are doing. This is very exciting. It's a little scary to see the countdown because I feel like we've got so much more work to do. But we are, I've got a great team, including Chris Lego down here on my team, and I'm grateful for that. So really, we are all here. This is your opportunity to give us advice on where we need to be and when we need to be there. So thank you all for the work that you are doing, and I'm going to be able to, I don't want to stay between you and lunch. Certainly, as we are, I'll stay for a while and get questions. I'm going to thank you all for the opportunity.
Okay. The most important words of the day, lunch is here. If we get set up and then everyone's going to grab lunch. So Keith, Janie mentioned to me he had something that he wanted to add really quickly. So Keith, if you want to just let us know.
I actually had stepped out of the room to take a call from Keith Shaver, who was my hometown senator and the president of the Ohio Senate, and he wanted me to express his gratitude to you and the members of the Iowa Republican Party and the Central Committee for the work that they are doing on behalf of our team Ohio. They especially made me make sure that I would tell you, you're doing a great job. So I've done my due diligence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is our distinct pleasure, and now maybe even the best words of the day, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Move. Second. All in favor of adjourning, aye. All opposed, no. We're adjourned at lunch. We will be right